I was going to introduce these gentlemen, but it'd probably be much easier if they talk about where they come from and who they are. So let's welcome our guests, all right?
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting us. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. Randy Bella is probably the finest violinist in the state of Florida, one of the greatest in the country. He plays professionally. He manages the orchestra. He's the concert master for the symphony, and he plays for Michael Feinstein. He's just about the best we have. My name is Horowitz, and I stick with Horowitz because Horowitz was a famous pianist. I play piano. I'm not the Horowitz, but I'm still Horowitz at piano. Now, generally, we understood we were going to be playing at a rehabilitation center, something. So I was expecting people to have an average age of deceased. Well, now we find that you're very much alive and you're kids. So the repertoire that we prepared is not for your generation, but it's for our generation. But nonetheless, we're going to go through it and we'll explain a little bit about it. The first piece is, our music is standards from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and also a little bit of classical. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I would play all classical, but you guys will be walking out the door. So we've got a little bit of classical, and we're going to start off with a song called Ebb Tide. This is from the 1940s. Now, Ebb Tide, and to give you the mental emotion, it's about the ebb and flow of the ocean, but the idea is you simulate it to the act of love. And it starts off slow, and then it builds up, and then it ends nice and serene. So think about the ocean, but think about its representation at the same time. Okay, so with your permission. Has anybody in the room ever heard that before?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, some people have. Okay, the people over 25. Only, I noticed that. And did you hear the ocean? Did you
Yes.
hear the waves coming in and out? Okay. Yeah. The next piece is the Warsaw Concerto. I'll play that solo. And that's, it was used in a movie in the 1940s. There's a special meaning to the Warsaw Concerto, which is kind of lost in today's world. But we know, we all heard about, have you heard about World War II? Yeah, all right. You've heard about it, okay. So we had something called World War II. And we had something called the Nazis and the Holocaust and this and that. There was one moment in time when the Jews in the concentration camp of Warsaw stood up and tried to rebel. They were all slaughtered, but they tried. So that's called the Warsaw Uprising. And this song is meant to like commemorate that, and that's where it comes from. So whatever the significance. My boss is reminding me to remind you. This, I'm playing the classical version. There was a time when somebody made a popular piece based on it. And you know, sometimes popular music comes from Beethoven and Bach and Tchaikovsky, and they take, even, we all know West Side Story, right, by Leonard Bernstein. Well, if you listen to the part of Maria, the second stanza, it's all Tchaikovsky. It's, oh, you knew that. It's note by note coming from Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. And you can hear the word by word. So the Warsaw Concerto, at some time later, was popularized. But I don't like the popular, I like to think of the classical, so that's what we have. So ladies and gentlemen, the Warsaw Concerto. Anybody in this audience ever heard that before? So you have, okay. Oh, good, thank you. Our next piece is, we are going to, the origin of Maria and West Side Story. We're going to play Swan Lake by Tchaikovsky. Good, I like that. That means somebody heard of it.
It's not the same one you think it is, but you'll see.
And listen, if I play any wrong notes, it's the piano's fault. called Misty, and that was sung by Johnny Mathis somewhere in the 1950s. I remember it well, but I was a little boy. Thank you very much. We're going to Broadway, and this is the first, if not one of the only operas written in America, in the United States. The operas come from Italy, the operas come from France, the operas come from Germany, and we have Wagner, and we have all of these great operas. And then we had George Gershwin in the United States. And George Gershwin is probably, in my opinion, the greatest composer. And he did everything. He did popular, he did classical, and then he wrote this opera, which is a real opera. It's called Porgy and Bess. And we're going to play the theme song from Porgy and Bess. It's known as Summertime.
Oh, yeah.
So you do recognize something.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Summertime by George Gershwin from Porgy and Bess. It was written in 1935, and I'm going to guess this is probably one of his last pieces, because he had, if you've ever seen, I know about his life from watching the movie. If you've ever seen the movie Rhapsody in Blue, he died in his 30s. He was born 1899. He died about 1937, something like that. So he was only in his mid-30s when he passed. So this is probably one of his last, but it's a full opera. This is Summertime.